All right, guys, welcome back to the shop yet again. We got this beautiful Country Coach Affinity, and we're gonna do another slide-out rim repair. I know I've done a chain repair before. I have an old video about it. I wouldn't say I've developed a new technique, but this one's gonna be pretty easy, hopefully, for us to do together. And I hope we can all learn how to do it a little bit faster and less frustrating this time. So on this 2006 Affinity, this slide out room right here, the design of it is from HWH, and it has a X-Arm right here. So it is an X-Arm HWH model AP31906. And so on these unique designs, they have a push and pull chain that's attached to the cylinder, which is right there. It actually opens and closes the slide out by pulling the X open and closed. A very important part of this chain are these rollers right there. That helps the chain guide through this guide right there smoothly without causing issues. And over time, those have been known to break. And unfortunately, right down there, you can see it broke one roller because there is a lot of pressure on it. And it's just the one roller right there. So we already have a video about this push-pull chain. It's kind of an impressive feat of engineering. The owner already went ahead and ordered this as a replacement from HWH, and so we're just going to go ahead and replace it as easy as we can. Luckily for us, it's on the front side of this passenger slide out room, so it's very easy access. If it was back here like it always seems to be, we'd be frustrated a lot more, and I would not be making a video like I did last time. Now, before I go any further, I do want to put a little slight disclaimer on this. These hydraulic systems can be a little bit dangerous and complicated. If you don't understand how they work, I would probably just bring it to an RV repair center or get an RV tech that knows how to do it. Besides the two cylinders on the slide out room right here, there will be a third cylinder known as the sink cylinder underneath to keep those two cylinders in balance as they operate. When we go to reconnect the cylinder back up again, we're gonna have to balance the system out. So if you don't know what you're doing, you can cause a lot of damage to this slide out room by getting it in a bind. And because I don't want to disconnect the cylinder in the back because you saw the access on it, you really need to understand how the system works before you start addressing it too much. But I'll try to run you guys through it, but do be aware you can cause a lot of damage if you don't know what you're doing. So with that in mind, first things first, what I need to do is get rid of all the hydraulic pressure that's in the system. On this Country Coach, the hydraulic pump is in the front here. If you have the new style valves, you can just lift up on that to bleed the pressure off. If you have the old style valves, there's a 1/4 inch nut right there. I'm not going to go through this whole thing with there's 4 slide out rooms to decide which slide out room I need to take the pressure off of. I'm just going to go ahead and release pressure on all of them. And then, more to the point, on a standard slide out room like this, it's traditional. The cylinder is extended when the room's extended. On the X-arms that we're working on, I don't know if you guys noticed, when the cylinder was extended, the room was retracted. So if you don't know which valves to open because there's an extend side or a retract side or what that actually means, it's best just to open up all the valves. That way you're not outsmarting yourself. And to do that, we just have a 1/4 inch socket, and we're just going to loosen it up. Now there is no safety stop on this, so we just want to do it until we hear the pressure run. There you go. If you keep going all the way, you'll shoot the needle out with the spring, and then you have to buy a new valve. See? Very simple. I'm going to do the back ones the exact same way. All right, so that should have released all the pressure, so at least the line shouldn't spit out too much fluid under pressure at me. So the first thing we're gonna have to do is protect the carpet down here from any hydraulic leaks because we're gonna be disconnecting the lines here. So let me go ahead and get some protection down. All right, so just have a garbage bag right there to protect the carpet so that we don't stain it with hydraulic fluid. Next thing I need to do is just mark these hoses. I don't use tape or a marker because hydraulic oil will cause a problem. I'll just use a zip tie. So 5/8, 9/16, or 5/8 and 7/16 to crack the line. And that's what we have. The rags here. We'll do that on both lines. After that, I just have some unions with caps on them so I can plug off the lines to keep them out of the way while I'm working at it. Alright, so those are capped off now so they shouldn't leak. And that's why we have plastic down to protect the carpet. Now before I modify this section down here too much, I'm just taking a measurement from the bottom of the cylinder to the top of this bracket here, and I came up with 1 inch and 5/8. And so I don't lose that, I went ahead and I wrote it right up there. Next step is I'm just going to loosen this jam nut right here. I'm just going to loosen the jam nut down here to kind of take some of the pressure off of this cylinder. This is really where you would adjust it if you really needed to adjust the slide out cylinder. And I just went ahead and took the wooden fascia off right there. A couple screws there and 1 screw up here. Now I've already made special 7/16 sockets by grinding away the top of them, because the next step is to take the chain disconnected from the cylinder. So if your next step is to make special sockets just like this. Put them in a vise, and then carefully make your own socket or special tool. Then hopefully you have a socket still strong enough to undo a bolt. Now we just use our custom made sockets to put in a little access hole right there for that 7/16 bolt head. And then there's another one on the back side right there that I'm holding it with, because there's a nut on this side. The bolt goes all the way through the chain. So we're just going to disconnect that. Putting it back on is the harder part. So with everything loose and where I need it to be, the next step is the only place you're really going to need a special tool if you want to do this easily. And it's not that special. I happen to have an old hydraulic pump off an RV, and so I'm going to use this safely and manipulate the cylinder inside without causing a lot of damage. So I'll just hook up one line, doesn't matter which side, because this is a reversible pump, so I can change the direction of the motor. Because a lot of people are not aware of it, but HWH has brakes built into their cylinder, so they won't move unless there's hydraulic pressure applied to them. So you couldn't manually move this cylinder down or up if you wanted to without pressure applied to it. Now this is a bad pump because the tank won't hold fluid without leaking. It was it says Lippert on it, but Lippert doesn't really make this. They just buy it from another manufacturer and put their name on it. There's going to be a reversing relay right here. So you just have to have positive and negative on this side, and it'll change the direction with the switch right down here. And I just have some shop 6-volt batteries right here that I keep charged. There we go. All right, go ahead and try a direction. Keep going. Keep going. All right, the other way. Keep going. All right, good. All right, with just that little bit of movement, now I can push the bolt out, get the bolt out of place. And now, theoretically, the chain is loose. You know, go ahead and hopefully, just go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. And that was just the spacer sleeve. Keep the chain from binding up. It goes on the bolt right there. I've gone just in between that linkage, or that hole's right there. You can kind of see the one missing roller on this chain. And that's the guide block it has to bend around. The next simple step is I need to disconnect these hoses, but I'll do that at the pump right there so any fluid goes outside in that box in my Christmas bin. And then we'll disconnect the bolt from the cylinder, and then we should be able to get the whole cylinder out and put the new chain on. There we go, look at that. It's a lot easier to do this here than make a mess inside. All right, now these are out of the way, but don't drop these on the ground. Don't trust them. They do want to leak. That's all hydraulic fluid likes to do, is get all over the place. So don't trust these. Get these back outside. All right. It's all about hydraulics. The biggest issue is trying not to make a mess and not trying not to cover yourself with fluid, which is why I don't like doing hydraulics. Now, without all the pressure on those bolts right down there, I can go ahead and lift it up, and just using my finger, I don't even need a wrench on that. I can loosen this up so I can undo the jam bolt that feeds into the back of the cylinder right here, or the mounting bolt. I might have to hold the cylinder with the other hand, so I might have to put you guys down. All right, it's free. That's about all we should have to do down there. And then last thing, to save my fingers, I just put a bottle jack underneath the cylinder I released. So I can push it back up a little bit so I can pull it out down here, because the chain's still too long to get out of the guide up there. And of course, with that cross brake on this X-Arm, I can't pull the cylinder out yet. So just go ahead and lift it up. So I should just be able to lift up right there and bring the cylinder around and then back down again. There's a little spring-loaded cradle that it's in up here. Right about there, we just have to pop it out of. Right about there, we have to pop it out of. Almost dropped you guys. See, not too bad, right? Hold it up on end so it doesn't leak on the floor. I'll take it out to the workshop. All right, now that it's out, we can see there's actually two that were broken. So that's why it was jamming up. Usually one missing isn't too catastrophic. Two missing, you'll notice it. And three, especially in a row, the whole thing will jam. They're just little rollers, nothing special to them. The most important part comes from HWH. See if they send us the right chain. And I can't be for sure, but I think they changed out the rollers to a different plastic so they don't break as easily, maybe. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 1, 2, 3, 17, 18. All right. Same number of rivets, so we are good. It just looks shorter because it's bent. Of course, this new one's really stiff still, which makes it even more difficult. Basically, all I have to do is take a couple of snap rings off, pull the pin, put the new one on. All right, so just using my high-tech snap ring pliers. They're not jewelry needle nose, don't worry about that. I got that one snap ring off. We'll just push out the pin. Too easy. So there's only one way you can put this back on again, so it works out pretty well. Just gonna go through there and there. We'll push the pin back on. There you go. New chain's installed, just that easy. Now, I've personally found that when you're trying to put this bolt in blindly, even though it goes in easily right here, there's a lot of different angles that this thing has to go through. So we're just gonna, I wouldn't say widen this, we're just going to clean out that hole just a little bit. That way the bolt won't bind up too much as we're trying to put it in blindly. So really the next step is what I would call the hardest step of putting this back in. It's very tight, it's very frustrating. If you have a second person, it's a lot easier because you have to do the work of the cylinder, of pushing the chain through the guides up there. It takes a little bit of momentum to get it going. So you can feed up enough right up through there to get the cylinder back into the kind of like snap fingers right in there that hold the cylinder. So if the last thing we did before we pulled out the cylinder was remove the bolt, the next thing we have to do is put the bolt back in. Hopefully you didn't take all the nuts off. That'll just feed up at the bottom. Alright, so we have a star washer, nut, star washer. Lower it all the way down. And once we get it manhandled back into this place, we're just going to hook up this bolt. I might have to loosen it up a little bit more down here. Of course, that's why we had everything, all the washers and everything in place. Now we can just tighten this bolt all the way up until it bottoms out on the cylinder above. Alright, so that's bottomed out. Now we're going to have to hook up the chain up on top. Right now, That's way too short. So we're going to be using that hydraulic pump again to manually operate the cylinder, which will also bleed it out at the same time. All right, so I do have all those hooks back up again. Go ahead and retract it. Keep going. Keep going. Stop. Go ahead and extend. Okay, go ahead and extend. Keep going. All right, stop. Go ahead and retract. Yeah. We're just going to bleed all the air out of there, hopefully. Go ahead and extend. So I have a lot of slack down there from the position. Don't forget I have a 1 5/8 inch I need to be right down there. So we haven't adjusted that back up yet. But now we just have to feed this back through and hook it up into there. And it'll just be complicated systems of start, stop, keep your fingers out of the way. All right, just hold up. So we're all lined up. Now you can put the bolt through. Don't forget about this all important sleeve. And then the nut on the back side. This is the hard part. Just held that spacer in with that. And then I'm just putting the nut in the socket on this side, and I'm going to feed it all the way through the other side. And now I can put the nut on the other side. Almost too easy, right? So I'm just putting the nut on right now. And we'll get this put back together. All right, now we're tight. Now we're gonna run up in. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen that jam nut back up again down there, so when the cylinder retracts, it'll nest down into here, and we'll want to open this back up to 1 5/8 inch. Go ahead, just bump it. Yeah. Go ahead and extend. Extend. There you go. All right, so now I'm just going to tighten all these jam nuts back up again. Good?
Pretty close right there.
All right, we're calling that good. All right, so with all that connected, now all we have to do is disconnect these lines. I'll take the pressure off and we'll connect the originals back up again. So yeah, it's a very difficult job without a hydraulic pump to operate that cylinder to line everything up. All right, so the new lines are hooked up. Well, I guess the original lines are now hooked back up again. Now it's just gonna be time to test the system out. Let me get my mess cleaned up. All right, with all the tools out of the way, hopefully we pull this back and find out that did not leave a hydraulic mess anywhere on the carpet. And I didn't. Excellent. Good work, James. Now, I still do have all those valves open right now. I'm going to run the pump for just a little bit to make sure there's no leaks. Run the pump to make sure that we're not leaking.
Okay, I'm going to run the pump right now by itself.
Retract slide, sure. All the valves on the slides are open, so we won't build up a lot of pressure. I'm just checking operation. Just keep going.
Keep on going?
Yeah. So now I'm going to come back here and tighten up all these valves. I didn't see anything obviously leaking. So we have, I don't know, 6 or 7 of these to tighten up. And now, even though it doesn't apply to these valves, on the Lippert hydraulic valves, the needle seats can be damaged if you over tighten those when you close them back up again manually. But HWH, not a problem. Ready?
All right, let's see. Everything looks good. Extend, right?
Extend.
All the way?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, no big clunk.
That's the slide out topper. All right, well, it's not leaking at all. Nothing on the floor. Slide went in and out. Was it that easy? Maybe we look even on the outside. It is a lot easier to do this job if you have a hydraulic pump. That's the key to doing this thing. But really, it's not too big of a job. If you know what you're doing and you have the basic set of hand tools to do it, it's really just that hydraulic pump that makes everything easier.
One more time just for good luck.
Yeah, sure, go ahead. One more time.
Balancing cylinder comes out.
Yeah, really simple, huh?
Yeah.
Easy out. So just that one screw and 2 more screws to get your fascia put back on.
How'd you get that one in?
And then this protective privacy screen. It's just a shade that snaps into those guys, just like a normal window shade. Okay. You want to try it again? Looks pretty good. Go back the other way. All right, I think we did it, guys. But that's how simple it can be to change out the HWH push and pull, the HWH push and pull slide out chain on this 2006, I think it's 2006, on this 2006 Country Coach Affinity. It's even easier when it's right behind the passenger seat. If it was between the galley wall there in the back, that's maybe an all-day thing, maybe into 2 days. But same theory, just a lot more effort to get it underneath the countertop to do this job. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'm very happy it went well. Bye. Hi. No? Come here. Give it to me. There we go. All too easy. Have to get my socket back. Alright, stuck on there. So second HWH slide out room done in a week. I think I've done enough slide out rooms this week, so I'm gonna take a break on them.
Well,